The overarching access issue is the user. Whether it's the library, the office, someone's house, or when during library operation hours, 24 hours, and how, whether it's a local network, the internet, or commercial service, does the end user gain access to the information? As a general rule, accessibility goes up, so does the cost. An as of yet unavailable ideal solution is having everything available 24/7 hours a day from an authorized location with full cost control capability and no need for local support. Some libraries have found creative ways around some of this. If you take an example for auto repair, it's cost prohibitive to actually do cost repair, typically open access 24/7, off-site included. Some libraries in smaller communities have had luck finding, say, like an auto repair shop to actually pay for access for the entire community and to get recognition from the library for doing that, thereby saving the library money, getting the auto service some recognition, and providing a necessary service for the community. Most libraries just offer it in-house, still at an extremely high price. There's also the access of, do you just link the source to the OPAC? Do you create a list? How do you handle that list? And also, access to the content. How does the resource search? Is it a Boolean type, or is it more of a search like an Amazon that's weighted with algorithms? Just as user access is a key decision point, support should also be prime consideration during the selection process. How much training does the user need to successfully use the product? Having only similar interfaces or having only a few variations in how one can use products means that the public service staff will have less support activities with the customers. This leads to another question: how much initial and ongoing staff training is necessary to provide user support? The answer to these questions depend on the quality of the documentation that accompanies the product. As we all know, most people follow the directions only when everything else fails. Reading instructional material about how to use print resources was never a very strong point for customers. They're no more likely to take the time to read the instructions for electronic products as well, some of which may come with an extensive user manual, online help. A rule of thumb is that the bigger the manual or the more extensive the online help, the more help the public services staff will have to provide information about ease of use and size or usefulness of manuals that may appear in the product reviews, if a review can be found. Questions about vendor or producer reliability are important too. Reliability of the producer is a more significant issue with electronic products than it is with print products. Will the telephone number or email address for customer help remain active? And is help available at times when it's likely needed? What's the response time? Compatibility and software is also a key issue in selecting a format for mounting electronic information. While addressing questions of content, access, and support, the selection process must also deal with cost. The most obvious costs are the initial cost of the product and ongoing charges for updates or annual subscription fees. Producers employ a variety of pricing strategies. This makes it more complicated to calculate what electronic information will really cost the library or information agency. It makes it difficult to accurately compare prices of various products offering similar information. Like we had talked earlier about bundling, and that vendors will do various price points for different bundles, and trying to sometimes compare those can be very difficult. As such, when you look at an online version versus a print version, how does one compare the Grove Dictionary of Art to the 34-volume set in paper? Can cost really be a factor in the comparison to assign a monetary value to ease of use? Speed of access is a consideration. It depends on the local circumstances at best. One can look at the expected use or cost of each format and decide whether the value is reasonable for the library or not. In addition to vendor costs, the local library costs are a factor in the decision-making process. The computers and other hardware require to use the electronic materials are generally more expensive to buy and maintain than other media playback equipment. As programmable units, they are susceptible to system failure, to loss of information because of power fluctuation, or user error, to tampering by computer hackers, to viruses, and to theft. All of these factors generate additional cost. An estimate of the amount of printing or downloading activity the product will generate is another cost factor that can't be ignored. There are printing costs, assuming the decision is to allow the users to print information. Library information agencies can employ several techniques to control such cost. One method that many libraries prescribe to is using either a coin or debit card unit to work printers. Some libraries allow downloading to disk instead of printing. There are several drawbacks to this approach. Some products do not allow downloading or limit downloading. Another serious disadvantage is that not all customers can use downloaded data. Same thing if a customer can email the information to them. Sometimes they can't use the email except in the library. Plus, allowing patrons to download opens a risk of their inserting a virus-infected disk into the computer. The overall goal is to select the most cost-effective format that will meet the needs of a large number of users. This is not so easy a task, given the cost and pricing variables that exist. By seriously considering the factors outlined in the preceding sections, one has a better chance of successfully achieving this objective.